Hey guys, I'm here with a book review today. I actually went the whole month of April not reading any books, well, except this one. But I still have a lot of books to review, so I'm probably going to be busting out a bunch today. If you see this ensemble more than once, that's probably why. But anyways, I went and did a book haul. I went thrifting a couple times, and I got a book that actually got me excited about reading again. I was kind of in a reading slump. And it was Troll, a Love Story by Johanna Sinisalo. So here it is. So I read the back, and it sounded really interesting. It sounded really different. After reading this book, I give it probably a 3.5 out of 5. So to start, this is originally a Finnish book, and it was translated into English. It is kind of... You know what? I thought this was going to be a fantasy novel. It really was not a fantasy novel. I think it was more... I don't even know how to describe this book. Just let me tell you about it. So first of all, this book is written from the point of view of many of the characters, actually most of the characters. I think the only ones that don't have a chapter in this book are the minor characters, and it switches on and off between all the characters. The characters it switches off and on between is Wait, hold up, Brittany. First, the main character is Mikhail, but he also goes by Angel. So if you hear Mikhail and Angel in the book, it's the same person. So that's the first one. Then there is Martez, which is Mikhail's advertising manager. And then there is Eke, which is some random guy that goes to the bar that he goes to. And there's Dr. Spider-Man, who is a veterinarian. And then there's Palomita, who is a downstairs neighbor who is a mail order bride. Now, none of this is spoilers because you find this out within the first probably 50 pages of the book. So anyways, secondly, I don't know if this was supposed to be an important part of the book. Maybe I'm just daft. But all of the men in this book are gay, except Palomita's husband. Other guy in this book is gay. And the only one who's kind of is Martez. He tries to act like he's heterosexual, but he's really homosexual. And then the last character is Pisa or Pista? This is really bad, guys. I cannot remember that. Angel gives the troll a name. Pessy. I knew it was something like that. So, and then Pessy. So, just a general synopsis of what happens. Angel is walking home from a bar one night. He's pretty drunk, and he gets to his apartment complex, and there's this group of teenagers picking on who he assumes is a person. And so he tells them, go away, and he looks down, and he finds a troll who's a baby. And I guess trolls in this book are called cubs. So he finds this cub, and it's really sick, really malnourished. So he takes it into his home, and he plans to make it healthy again. And he doesn't know if he's going to keep it as a pet or release it back into the wild, etc., etc. And it's kind of Mikhail's life after that. What happens after that? And by the way, if I use Mikhail and Angel in this video, just remember that it is the same person, because it jumps around in the book too. So Mikhail can't decide, what he's going to do, and then after that, it's kind of what happens because he has this troll, the things that Mikhail goes through, the things that he learns about himself, etc., etc. So, guys, like I said earlier, actually, I don't know if I said this earlier, when I first got this book, when I first started reading it, I thought it was going to be a fantasy novel. I would not classify that. You know what? I would not classify it as a fantasy novel. To be quite honest, I don't know what genre I would put this into. Non-fiction, or not non-fiction, fiction, obviously. But besides that, it's not horror. It's not a romance. It's kind of, And there's also chapters in this that are very scientific when it comes to trolls. The trolls in this book, which this isn't a spoiler either, but the trolls in this book aren't like the trolls you would usually see in fantasy movies or read about in fantasy novels. Usually, I don't know about you guys, but when I read about a troll, when I hear troll, I think about some humongous, stupid, human-like, creature who can usually talk or can grunt and can understand what you're saying. The trolls in this book aren't like that. Actually, the trolls in this book, which it takes place in Finland, they are considered an endangered species, not even a mythological creature. And in this book, they are more compared to an ape in looks, but they are in the classification of where like a lynx and a bear are carnivore. And so, which I don't really get it because a bear is not a carnivore, it's an omnivore, but in the book that's what they say. So, The trolls in this book have black fur, and the males have black manes. and they have claws like razors and teeth like razors. And so that's what a troll looks like in this book. And they're very, they're not stupid and gangly, or not gangly, but, you know, like most trolls that you would hear about. These trolls in this book are very agile. They move at night, they're nocturnal, and which most trolls are, because if you guys know, like, the common myth about trolls is if they're out in the daylight, they turn to stone. If Pessy's out in the daylight, he is not turned to stone, but he is nocturnal. And in this book, they eat like little mammals and quail eggs. So there you go. The only parts of this book that were I kind of had to push myself through was the scientific parts. Now, most of the chapters in this book are very short. I want to say the longest one was maybe 6 or 7 pages. But the scientific parts, if they were more than like 2 pages, I was kind of skipping over them a little bit. I kind of felt like they weren't that important to the book. She could have explained it through characters, but, you know, whatever. The scientific parts are basically started off when Mikhail was trying to figure out how to take care of this troll, and it kind of drifted into they were just there for no reason, apparently. Kind of explaining why the troll was doing what he was doing. So, a disclaimer about this book before anyone goes out and buys it. There is... I wouldn't say that Johanna is vulgar. She's not vulgar. But she's not... She doesn't beat around the bush either. She's kind of just... My dog is barking. Barking like a weirdo. That was a weird bark. I don't know if you guys heard that, but... But anyways, she's not vulgar, I would say, but she doesn't beat around the bush. Now, someone has to be extremely, extremely vulgar for me to consider it is vulgar. So someone who is not used to reading about these types of things is going to think it's pretty vulgar. There's also, I don't want to do spoilers, but I have to say this because I don't want anyone to go out and read this book and think, oh, you know, Britt's disgusting because she read this book. Okay, so there is kind of bestiality in this book, and I didn't know that when I bought it, but I still probably would have read it even if I had known. It's not, like, really descriptive about what happens or anything, but there is kind of bestiality in this book. There is, sex in this book. It does go, again, into very big detail. I'm not homophobic, but for those of you who could be, there is gay sex in this book, and it's not, like, you know, pages and pages of it, but there is, and there's a lot of it. But yeah, I have to say that this is probably a 3.5 out of 5. I don't know if it's just because it was translated into English, but honestly, I don't think the writing was that well done. It was pretty, it was okay. It's one of those ones where you read the writing and it's not that great, but you see why it could have won an award. And again, it might just be because it was translated, and when things get translated, they're not as good as the original, in my opinion. So if it was just purely based on the writing, it probably would have honestly been a 2.5 to a 3 for me. But, guys, this book is so odd, it's so weird. I have never read a book with this storyline or with this thought process or anything like that. This is a very original book. I'm surprised that I haven't heard about it on BookTube yet. But, yeah, it's... I was telling my husband the other day after I finished reading it, I said, I'm trying to find a book to compare this for you guys, because on all my book reviews, I try to find a book to kind of compare it to so you guys know. This book, I can't compare it to anything. I can't even mix up 2 books or 3 books to kind of get to what this book is. This book, it kind of, like, meets on fantasy a little bit, kind of meets on erotic fiction a little bit, it kind of meets on coming of age a little bit, but it doesn't really relate to any actual books I've read. So, all I have to say about this book is I don't want to do any spoilers, and pretty much if I talk about anything about this book, it will be a spoiler, but I will say that you're going to read this book and you're going to be like, what did I just read? What the hell did I just read? And it's a really fast book. I think it's only about 280 pages, but see, the font is pretty big, and the chapters are really, really short, so this is a really fast read, guys. I don't know, it's $12 in the United States. I have to say that if you can find this on, like, half-price books, thrift books, for a decent price, I would get it, because it's going to blow your mind. You're going to be like, you know, this is going to be an original book on your bookshelf. But, like, if you actually want to go and buy it full price, I wouldn't. Just go check out a thrift books, half price books, things like that. So, I will see you guys later. I am trying trying to bust out a few book reviews before my friend comes over. So hopefully I will have some up for you guys. So I will see you in the next video. Bye!